What up, Blake?
Hold on.
Huh?
Hold on.
We're back.
Let's go.
Since you've been in England, mate, have you gotten the accent? Have you come back with an accent?
I did not, but I came back with a lot of shots of everything. Because that's
like what?
Man, you know what's funny? They shoot all kinds of stuff. You don't even ask what's in it, especially if you go to these soccer bars during a big match. It was unlike anything else. It was our version of Tiger Stadium, basically everywhere at these soccer bars. So it was a good time. I'm a big European soccer fan, so I got to go see Liverpool, which was a lot of fun. I got to go see them in the legendary Anfield, and everything's so different over there, Blake. It's a totally different culture, but it's amazing. People over there know LSU. So it was a lot of fun. It was also weird, when you speak to soccer fans trying to explain what we do and trying to explain college football, because in England in particular, the NFL is getting bigger because of the games that they play there. And another reason why it's getting bigger in England is because they're able to watch the games. So all the NFL games, normally play at noon or 3, whereas in England, you're only 6 hours ahead of where you are in the States. So they're able to watch it. And I saw a lot of New Orleans Saints hats.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I met a few members of the Who Dat Nation. So it was quite a jolly old time. It really was.
There he goes. He says jolly, mate. He says a jolly good time.
Cheers, mate. No, it really was. It really was fun, right? But now I'm back. I'm so happy to be back. Looking at LSU football every single day. A big day, big weekend, big week for you on the channel. Congrats on getting Chris Hilton on the channel, the speedster. That's obviously some really cool stuff, man. So I still see you doing your thing, baby. Let's go.
You missed a lot because on that same day we had a local media person call me out. I needed you. You weren't here, but it's okay. It's okay because you were engaged.
I was. I honestly have no idea who the person was that called you out. It might be.
We'll
someone.
Talk off air.
Okay, we'll talk off the air.
Yeah, we'll talk off.
Does everyone know about it? Does everyone know?
Dude, it was very public. They went live, talked about me. I went live, talked about them. I'm a foot taller than this guy, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, you called out my credibility. My credibility. You know me better than probably anybody here.
Do they know you're building a new studio? Do they know you're producing another human? Like, you're accomplishing a lot in your life, man.
I know. I don't know how to put this.
You need to give them a Graham Code gummy and let them chill for a little bit.
You're damn right. Use the promo code AYS25. That's exactly what we need to do. But people are not here to listen to that. They're here to listen to us talk about football.
Let's go.
Carter, I don't know how much you heard of the opening rant. 3 little letters come to my mind. LSU. Okay. What at some point this narrative about Brian Kelly not being able to recruit is going to stop. I mean, he just ended with the top 6 class last season. He only had 6 weeks. When you're starting to see some of these pieces fall, what's your thoughts about it? What are you thinking when you see Dalen Alston, Trey Hiley, and things like that?
Yeah, I think the Alston one is obviously the more interesting one. I think everyone that follows LSU football knows just a little bit about Louisiana recruiting. For instance, for me, I don't look at the recruiting stuff like every second. Like, I don't
either.
I don't follow every recruit on Twitter and Instagram. There's a lot of reporters that do. But it was pretty clear that Trey Holly was going to LSU the entire time. And you would see like Dalen Alston talking about LSU on social media. You would see it get retweeted in your feeds. But I think that was a huge step for Robert Steeples, right? There was a lot of pressure with him coming in to replace Corey Raymond. So that, I think, is the biggest story of today. It's not so much Dalen Alston committing. It's more so Robert Steeples getting his first recruit. And there's nothing like, as a coach, it's kind of like, and most people watching this played sports, right? When you've gone 0 for 10 at the plate, there's nothing like getting that first hit under your belt. And there's nothing like getting that first basket after a slump. There's nothing like that first one, right? And Robert Steeples gets his first commitment that wasn't a Louisiana guy that you really had to put a lot of work in to get to LSU, and he got it. And the big narrative when Corey Raymond was leaving, and I got a lot of pushback on my channel for this, Blake. And I said Corey Raymond leaving. Corey was great, but it's not going to be that big a deal. The LSU recruiting at defensive back is going to continue to be dominant, and it just has been, right? It's been there.
Carter, that's what they have right now. That's their class.
That's half their class, exactly, and it's not dropped off. In fact, it could get better. You never know, right? The main reason why defensive backs come to play at LSU is because of Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson. It's a huge influence. When you actually hear from the recruits, you hear them say, in particular, Tyrann Mathieu's name, and it just goes a long way. Now, you give Steeples a lot of credit. You give Corey Raymond a lot of credit. But as long as Steeples came in and had a lot of energy, he was young, he's relatable. A lot of people, he's our age, Blake. He's special.
Which is so wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's a lot of pressure, right? There's a lot. You're replacing a Louisiana legend. Corey Raymond played at LSU, coach at LSU from New Iberia. He was loved. And the fact that you get 3 defensive back commits this early in the process shows you the power of LSU. And these guys haven't even seen what a Madhouse defense is going to look like. So that goes to show you how good the recruiting has been at defensive back. And look, Curly Reed, we'll see what happens with that. And then obviously, the most interesting player in this class to me is going to be Derek Williams, right?
Agreed.
This is a guy who went to Corey Raymond's high school. This is a guy who is a top 100 safety who can really play. So we'll see what happens with this recruitment.
You took my next question. Carter, are we seeing in live action? I don't know if Les had this and we kind of already knew it with Ed, right? Like Ed was a good recruiter.
Right.
LSU's just coming off the high of Nick Saban, so it doesn't really matter. But Carter, Miami doesn't do this. Like when they were transitioning, Nebraska didn't do it. Florida State didn't do it. It's because you're the only big Power 5 school in your state, and you're going outside the state to do it. Am I getting so naive to believe that it's just the 3 letters? Look, I get it. Brian Kelly, coaching position coaches, stuff like that. I get it. But Carter, it doesn't stop though.
Right.
What happens if LSU walks out of here with a top 5 class? Then what?
The train just keeps moving. Look, the kids want to go play at the NFL. And you look right now, it's not just some of the best players in the NFL are from LSU. A lot of the swaggiest players are from LSU, right? Guys that have big brands, guys that have big personalities, guys that get, whether it be the Gritty on Fortnite with Justin Jefferson or the Honey Badger or, Jarvis Landry. Someone asked me about Jarvis Landry in the chat. People like that. And obviously Odell is the biggest quarterback in the league when you go look at social media numbers and interactions and cultural relevance. Those things carry weight. Those guys looked up to those guys. YouTube was starting to become a thing, and Twitter and highlights. Well, LSU players have some of the most insane highlight reels in college and in the NFL you'll find. So, look, you give Brian Kelly all the credit in the world. We've all read the high school connection pieces from the national media and how well he's doing in that aspect. But you also give what the guys before Brian Kelly did as far as the players are concerned, building the LSU brand what it is now.
Put that comment back out there, Pooh, the Dandy's comment. Carter, we haven't talked, or I haven't talked to you live since the NFL draft.
Right.
LSU gets 10 guys drafted in this past draft. Second behind Georgia. Carter, am I you know where I'm about to go with this.
Yeah.
Well, then expound on it. Because quite honestly, you should be 9-3 last year. You should be Carter, at what point do you continue to get that many guys drafted? And my expectation of being 9-3 is an outcry.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
But go ahead.
No. Here's what I'll say about that. Right. So 10 players got drafted. Some of the players that got drafted on their physical potential. Right. So let's take someone like Chasen Hines, who was very inconsistent at LSU. Right. Well, he's an athletic freak. Like he is a perfectly built guard, right? Like he can move bodies.
No doubt.
We just could never get him to play consistently. I always thought he was a little out of position, but still, you had a lot of different guys on that team last year still get drafted, even though they had up and down careers. And what does that show you? Well, it shows you the coaching was really bad. Now, look, I am far from being a film study expert. We do a lot of film studies on the channel.
Liar, pants on fire. But
no, I'm not. I'm not, because I didn't coach. I've never coached, right? But when I would speak to people who actually coach, who actually know what they're talking about, guys that actually do put the headset on, they would be astonished at how badly LSU was coached these past couple of years, just from a pure scheme standpoint, a pure predictability standpoint. And what you see with 10 players getting selected and the success that LSU's had goes to show you that, well, it wasn't really that great from Ed Orgeron to put the product out on the field that we had. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, Blake. You look historically, the one stat that would always correlate with LSU's success the very next year were the number of players that were drafted from the year before. So, for instance, the more players that LSU would have drafted, the less likely that they would have a 10-win season. So 10 players is the second most players LSU has ever had selected in the modern draft era, okay? Or let's just say the modern championship era since 03. You look, there was only once when LSU won 10 games or more where they had 8 players or more selected from the draft before. So I want people to keep in mind that is another hole that Brian Kelly's going to have to dig himself out of. It wasn't just the fact that the roster was so bare. It was the fact that of those 39 players that were out on the ball field, some of those guys that actually played still did end up getting drafted. So there is a lot of starter production that's going to be replaced, and history shows that LSU does struggle when they have more players selected. So just for instance, right, the greatest LSU team of all time was 2019. Well, it also happened to be the year that LSU had only 3 players selected, which was their fewest that they've had since 03. So you look at the correlation there. That's just going to be another thing that Brian Kelly's going to have to overcome.
You think the transfer portal changes that, though?
It does. And it really does in a big way, because when you could bring in 32 players instead of 25, like for instance, like if Sevyn Banks would have declared, even if he was injured, he probably still would have been drafted. Someone still would have.
I mean, Carter, Tom McShay's got a number 17.
Yeah, someone would have taken a chance on him. So that is a draftable player that you bring in. Same thing with Bernard Converse. So that it does change things. It does make it a lot easier. So that would be my next point about that, is that LSU, once again, I said this the last time I was on with you, it's so key that they were able to get the 32 players that they brought in.
No doubt.
It is a game changer, and it's going to help LSU hopefully get to that 8, 9, 10-win mark next year.
Carter, by my calculation, I'm going to go full nerd. By my calculations, LSU's 84 scholarship kids. 84 or 83, excuse me, 83. I'm forgetting about one. Carter, you played a bowl game with 37.
It's crazy. It's still the wild.
Oh, by the way, you almost won that thing. I feel you. Okay. And I agree. Normally and historically, like even when you look at Alabama, for an example, the years that they have high draft rate, they normally win a national title. The following year, they don't repeat or get to the playoff.
Right.
Okay. That is a just nationwide thing. Alabama goes through it. Everybody goes through it, except last year. Okay. because of the fact, two things in my opinion: transfer portal, Jamison Williams, okay, and they were able to go get key pieces defensively. I think I forget the kid, the defensive end that played for him a lot. He wasn't like a star, but
the linebacker Henry To'oTo'o and a bunch of guys. Yeah,
Henry
exactly.
Henry To'oTo'o was another one. So I mean, look, I think that can happen. Carter, here's my question to you though, and we're going to continue to have this conversation until the day that Florida State gets their teeth kicked in.
Let's go.
I can't take it anymore, right? Like I can't take losing anymore, and when you have this much talent, Carter, their entire defensive line might get drafted. So at what point, and by the way, Tom McShay's got Mike Jones Jr. Who? Hold on. Who? He's got Mike Jones at 34. Michael Baskerville? You know where Michael Baskerville is? 61. Okay. You got Seven Banks at 17. I'm not saying that they're the 85 Bears in this hoe, but what I am saying is that at what point am I supposed to be realistic and say if you don't win 9 games, it's look, I will give the transition year if they win 7. Okay, look, shit happens. You're in a transition year. I get it. If you fall below 9 wins, to me, something went wrong. You can't have an entire defensive line get drafted and not win 9 games, Carter. I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna go with the slight disagreement here. Right?
Okay, let's debate. Here we go.
So I look. A big thing is obviously Kayshon's health. Right? He is a true transcendent talent. Like he's already up there amongst the best LSU receivers. Just if you look at his per game production rate, right? He is truly incredible. So that's going to be the big thing, right? Can you get Kayshon? Because he'll make any quarterback look good. He made Max Johnson look good. And we saw what happened with Max.
Calm down.
No, well, yeah. I mean, he did. He made. I mean, how many people believed in Max Johnson after the Ole Miss Florida game? I became a slight believer because Kayshon was, that dude, right? So, I feel a lot better about the team if Kayshon's fully healthy and ready to go, and all indications show that that's going to be the case. I just think, Blake, as far as in this last week, we did a bunch of deep dives at Vegas projections. So let's take the Action Network, right? Their win projection for LSU next year is 5. That's what their win model says about LSU's roster next year, that they're a 5-17, right? Now, once again, I don't believe that. And I did a whole video as to why they actually believe that. So you could check it out if you want to. Don't, because it will enrage you like it did me. I was like, what, really? 5 wins? And they have Auburn at 7? Really? But I then look at Vegas and I see some lines set at 6.5, some set at 7 for a 7-5 season or 6-6 season. And I could see it. Now I don't believe it. I see an 8-4, 9-3 roster as well, but there's a lot of 50-50 games. And
I agree there. I agree.
There's a lot of 50-50 games. And this is also very key, Blake, is that the quarterbacks in the SEC next year are going to be really good, right? They're going to be really good.
Preach.
So
and you're facing all of them, Carter.
You're facing all of them. So
besides Will Levis.
Yes, and Will Levis isn't that great. We made him look great. If he does get drafted high, people are going to look at that LSU tape and they're going to be like, you made me believe in this guy. But no,
he's a bloke, is what Carter's saying. He's a bloke. He's a bloke.
Look, this is something that's very important to remind ourselves in college football. Mm-hmm. Who you play matters so much. In every other sport, it is not true, right? Who you play in the regular season does not matter as much as it does in college football. It is who you are, right? It's how your postseason is decided.
I agree with that. Right, okay. right.
It matters so much. So let's take a look. LSU catches a very unlucky break next year, right? They get the strongest Tennessee team that they've had in a long time, with a really bright offensive mind and a really good quarterback in Hendon Hooker who's going to get drafted. Anthony Richardson's going to be interesting at Florida. I'm still not totally sold on that Florida roster, especially their defense going into next year.
I'm sold on him, though.
Yeah, I think Richardson's good. Then you have KJ
Agreed.
Jefferson, who had a really good season last year for Arkansas. And Arkansas is one of the 8 teams in college football that returns head coach, OC, DC, and quarterback, right?
And 80% of their position coaches.
Yes. And look, Alabama's going to be really good. They're going to be tough. And as much as I hate to say it, A&M, they're going to be tough as well. And we have to play them at their house where Jimbo actually is a competent coach. On the road, I'm fine with saying we could beat A&M because we did last year with a really bad team. Well, not a bad team, but you get what I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
I just think the schedule next year is going to be really difficult. There's a lot of these 50-50 games where LSU is going to be playing a lot of really good quarterbacks, and that could be tough to overcome. Now, once again, that's not me saying that they're not going to win 9 or so games. It's just
I'm with you.
Those 50-50 games a lot of it comes down to luck, and LSU got the really unfortunate luck that the 1 out of every 6 years you play Tennessee, they actually have a pulse and they're decent.
All right. So last thing about this, and I want to get over to Kayshon Boutte because like good podcasters and radio guys, you transitioned there perfectly.
Transition.
I agree that you could either go 2-5 or 5-2 in the 7-game stretch.
Yeah.
Will Rogers, okay. Zach Dart, KJ Jefferson, Hooker, Bryce Young, and then I think you play. Who's the other one you played? I mean, maybe you'll throw Max Johnson in there, whatever, No. It is what it is. Carter, with all due respect, that 6-game, at least that 5 games. Oh, Anthony Richardson, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm Richardson, AR-15.
Carter, I'm sorry. And we were talking about this in LSU Twitter Spaces the other night. Nobody, Carter, I mean nobody, faces that quarterback lineup in the country. No one.
Yeah, I agree.
If you really go look at it, no one has to play cross other than Alabama. Okay? Alabama, but they don't have Anthony Richardson. Okay? So it's interesting to me, and I agree with you on that stretch. You could go 2-5 or you can go 5-2.
Right.
But, that was the whole basis of my argument the other night. And so I don't think you disagree with me, by the way. I think you challenged me, which you always do to make me a better person and a better podcaster. So congratulations. Thank you for making me a better man. I appreciate you for doing that. However, you brought up Kayshon Boutte. Now, I don't know, Carter, did you hear the words from Brian Kelly about Kayshon Boutte by chance today?
I didn't. No, I did not.
All right, bear with me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pull this. Oh, here it is. Let's listen to this from Brian Kelly right quick, Carter. Okay, because I want to get your reaction to this from Brian Kelly and what he said about Kayshon Boutte.
I think everybody knows I shot one across his bow, if you will, because I think he needed to be more engaged. And you know what? He got it. And I'm excited about what he can do. Look.
So, Carter, I don't know if you could hear that because the volume's kind of low.
No.
But Brian Kelly says he shot one across the bow at Kayshon Boutte to get more engaged, and you know what? He did it. And in the video that Jacques Doucet posts, his eyes get big. Basically, this is how I interpret what he just said. Say, dog, you can flirt with these other teams all the hell you want to. Either stay here or get to stepping. That legitimately, that's how I take it. Carter, even if Kayshon Boutte leaves, he sets a precedent. It's a win-win, right? Because he's going to be here for 10 more years. It doesn't matter. Okay, right. Well, at least 5. So with that being said, look, what's your thoughts on Kayshon? I mean, look, that's a pretty big comment to say that you're calling the best player out. Carter, he came in here calling the best dude out. I kind of dig it.
I do too. And look, Kayshon is that big of a difference maker, right? And this is what I always ask people: like, how much does a Vegas line move if that player is there or not, right? And Kayshon to me is worth a win. Now, how do I know this? Because the last couple of seasons he won 2 games on his own. Mississippi State this year, we don't win that game if Kayshon doesn't do what he did in that game. And then obviously
Agreed.
Ole Miss at the end of last year. So what? That's roughly 8 or so games where he was a guy and he won 2 games on his own. It is rare to go out and win the game on your own as a wide receiver, right? Especially when you have inoptimal quarterback play. But it is very important for him to be locked in as well, because there are other receivers on this team who are really freaking good. And they are challenging themselves every day to get on Kayshon's level. So, I was fine. I said it at the time. I was fine with them taking a shot at Kayshon. And I was also fine with Kayshon, keeping his ears open, trying to get the maximum amount of value that he could off his name, image, and likeness. Because
I agree. I agree with that too.
Look, if you were in his position, you'd probably do the same thing.
You're
But
damn right.
yeah, so I just think Kayshon's really special. He really does move the needle for the offense, and it just opens up so much. Like it gives Jack Best that much more room to work underneath, and it allows Malik to do more things as well. So, for me, I'm fine with that, and I'm also more so fine with Brian Kelly just being honest about it, right? Instead of just saying, no, it wasn't really a shot. It was me just talking off the cuff or whatever. I'm glad he just said, look, that's what I did.
Jail
Right?
mentality, as Ham Marshall says. That's the jail mentality. Challenge the baddest dude so that you know that you're not to be messed with. And that's it.
Right.
Bro,
And look,
if you're I don't know. I don't want to throw a kid's name out there, but let's just say hypothetically, you're Landon Ibieta.
right.
Hey, you're Harold Perkins. And Harold Perkins comes in here and then he's chewing Kayshon out. Like, Kayshon, what was you doing all off season? You're supposed to run a slant. You ran a hitch. What are you doing? It changes. You know what it changes, Carter? Discipline.
Right.
And it changes like, hey, dude, like if I'm not with it, I'm not playing. And look, this was on your channel. Shout out to you. We talked about this. Kyron Lacey ran a wrong route. And Kayshon Boutte, if you remember, on your channel, was telling him he ran the wrong route. I think that's what Brian Kelly's talking about. Bro, he didn't play a snap, nor did he need to. Bro, if you know what you needed to run, and I don't care. Carter, I got to be honest. Do I want him to get reps? Sure. I don't care that he's not beating a walk-on wide DB. I don't care about that in spring.
And he was very involved, right? You would see him on the sideline with that Santa boot.
He was doing the push-ups, Carter, when they dropped Thomas dropped the pass. He had to put his foot up in the air.
And look, I think something else will help Kayshon this year is that there's going to be hot competition for the wide receiver 1 for the next year's NFL draft. So, like, I think Kayshon, I think, Kayshon wants to be the first wide receiver off the board. And look, Jackson Smith and Jigba is a special talent. Like, what he did in the Rose Bowl, for those that didn't see, was what Kayshon did versus Ole Miss. But
he made $5 million.
Yeah. I mean, on a bigger scale, and they really needed him to be great for them to win that game. They don't win that game without him. And I think that's going to help motivate him as well, because it's not just Jackson, it's also Jordan Addison of Pitt, who would also.
God, I hope he doesn't go to Bama, bro.
Man, look, that's the thing about this transfer portal, right? I don't think people quite understand how big of a deal the Jermaine Burton thing was. Kind of weird, right? You leave the national championship team to go play for the team you just beat, right? You do the opposite Durant, but you pulled a Durant, right?
Dude, what if he won it though? What if he was a key piece in winning it for Bama and he reversed Durant it?
Well, then he'll look like a genius. Also, Also, the fact that he was initially committed to LSU, Jermaine Burton, which was a different story for a different day, actually worked out in better for LSU in the long term. But for me, the big story was when that Louisville receiver transferred to Alabama, and you're telling me that Alabama is flirting with this Jordan Addison thing. I wonder how I would feel being one of the many Louisiana wide receivers who went to Alabama and be like, dang, what am I going to do to get the opportunity to play next year? But yeah, I mean, the portal's a Wild West, and I'm just very happy that number 1 for LSU or number 7 for LSU will be suiting up next year for the Tigers.
Perry De La Houssaye. Let me say this before I get to Perry, though. It drives me insane, Carter, insane, that Nick Saban comes out here and lies his ass off.
Oh, I hated that comment. It drove me nuts. It drove me nuts.
Saban, look, and all these people come at me on Twitter defending his stupid ass, but it's stupid. Oh, there's parity in college football. There's no parity in college football. Parity in sports is the Tampa Bay Rays almost winning the World Series. That's parity. What's not parity is the 7 teams that historically get to the title continue to win that hoe. I hate that he's lying and getting away with it because nobody else can see his lies. I mean, so what that an ant is taller than him? Look, it drives me insane. It drives me. Bro, I've seen toddlers get on rides at Disney World that are taller than Saban, and everybody fears him because he says something and wins national titles. 2 things can be true. He could be the greatest coach of all time. He's still lying his ass off. You mean to tell me, Carter, that he doesn't tell his assistant coaches to tamper with other players? Or he hasn't let it be known?
Yeah. I mean, there's someone in the pipeline. And look, we're not saying LSU is holier than thou at all, right? So, yeah. I look, there's going to be an Alabama fan that jumps in the comment section and saying, "Well, LSU."
Hey, bro, like I said on the show this week, my dad used to put me in boxing lessons. Come on, bro, I'm tired of it.
Well, the highest level of martial arts I had was Billy Blank's Taibo. So I'm gonna. Who are my old schoolers in here that remembers Taibo?
Bro, Taibo. I remember that commercial too. He goes, "Do you want to learn how to do a front kick? Hiya!" Oh my God.
Taibo had me ready to throw hands in the playground, man. I'm telling you.
I bet you did too.
I did not.
You lying. All right.
But look. That was a very strange comment. But Nick Saban could say what he wants. He's 70 and he's the best to ever do it. But
true,
it didn't make any sense. And look, college football is the one sport where life isn't fair. It's not fair. It is truly the one sport where that is the case. But we love it. And, that's what's going to make the SEC so interesting next year. Right? You mentioned Will Rogers a minute ago. You mentioned all this talent. The SEC is going to be stacked next year. So, for me, you look at some of these other years potentially down the road that LSU can make a legit run at the college football playoff. There are some very interesting years that set up really nicely for LSU. But next year is going to just be so tough. And it may not have as much to do with LSU as it does everyone else, right? Like, this is going to be Arkansas's best team that they've had.
Agreed. Since McFadden.
Yeah. I mean, in a very, very, very long time.
Put that comment up.
Bro, let's go. Billy, jump on AYS right now, man.
Billy was shooting blanks too. All right, put up ants because look, Carter's got a fiance now. He can't be running around being a hoodlum with me all the damn night. Ant Marshall says hashtag Ask Carter Liverpool UEFA championship or LSU national championship. What happens next?
Well, since Liverpool is playing in the UEFA championship on the 28th of this month in Paris, I'm going to go Liverpool, actually getting it done versus Real Madrid. But that's because they play this very next year. And, we have Mohamed Salah, we have Sadio Mane, we have the best coach. Hopefully, Brian Kelly becomes the next Jurgen Klopp. But still, the 28th, Blake. Let me just say this, right? Because every time I come on here, you're going to get littered with some soccer stuff because I've posted a lot of soccer content lately. Just say you're a Liverpool fan. Do you want to join Liverpool?
I have no idea what I'm agreeing to. Absolutely, I'll be there.
My guy, you joined the best fan base.
I'm not a soccer dude. I can't unless I'm playing it on FIFA. I can't do it, dude. I can't do it. I can't sit there.
Well, and here's the thing, right?
I love watching it though, like the World Cup. Like I love watching it.
World Cup's coming up. Look, here's what I'll say. Okay, everyone should be a Liverpool fan. It's my second favorite thing behind LSU football and the Pelicans. But
should I get a Liverpool jersey?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Do they have one an extra? God damn, that man's sexy.
Yes, they do. What was so funny was,
by the way, Manscaped finally sent me my shirt, an actual shirt instead of extremely thin. I had to get on their ass about it.
The one thing about us thicker humans, Blake, though, is that soccer jerseys, and I played soccer, and I'm still my high school's slowest starter to ever start. I was slow, but here's the funny thing is soccer uniforms do come in super extra large. So I have to wear that size now too, because soccer jerseys are very form fitting. And
like if I wear a 2X or a 3X, I need to get like a 6X is what you're saying?
Yes, basically, right?
Okay.
I had too many fish and chips overseas, so I could barely
Of
fit.
course you did. All right, let's talk about that very quickly. We'll get you out of here.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing about England? Was it seeing the Queen?
I did go to Buckingham Palace.
I know you did. Was it seeing the Queen?
I didn't get to see the Queen. I got to see her. I got to see them helicopter her in. Like I saw the helicopter, and it was on a live stream. I know Danny was there, and Danny actually used to live in England, so she gave me a lot of tips on a lot for the entire trip. So the best thing, obviously, getting engaged to the love of your life, blah blah blah, whatever. That was fine.
No, don't take that for granted. Am I invited to the wedding?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
That was a very slow yeah.
I said that was pretty immediate. Get the producer to time how quick of that. Yeah, of course, man. You're officiating the wedding. You didn't know that.
I swear to Christ. Listen to me. I swear to Christ. I will get ordained right now in the state of Arkansas. I'd be like, and Carter was crip walking up to his fiance. That's how you got her. I mean, I know that's how it is. I know you.
That is exactly what happened. But here's what I'll say, right? And this will relate to a lot of people that live in Baton Rouge. Okay. The one thing about all the cities that I visited, whether it was Liverpool or London or Paris, their public transit system was baller, right? Like
that aggravates the shit out of me. You saying that it aggravates the shit out of me.
And something else that is really crazy about England and Paris, and this is something else that will, your viewers would, and my viewers do this as well. No one drives trucks. There are no pickup trucks.
Right.
Like
and if it is, it's like a small S10 or something.
Yes, exactly. So that kind of blew my mind as well, because in the South, it's a big part of our culture. So I don't own a car, but a lot of my friends do, and they have these huge pickup trucks. No one drives pickup trucks, and no one could really explain to me why. They explain like some kind of tax thing. But what's really interesting is when you go to Europe, you see a lot of different things that they do that you're like, God, I wish we had that in America. I wish we had, better healthcare. I wish we had better public transit. I wish we had a lot of these different things. And it was really fun. I am glad I'm back here. I'm glad I'm back doing what I do. But man, London and Paris were just so beautiful. It really was.
Danny girl who told Ant that he needs to wear a wig last night says, yes, live stream the wedding. I'm here for it. Last thing, swear to God.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do they season their food over there?
No. Yeah, that's
Okay.
so here's
I'm out.
no. Here's the thing. Okay.
Do they have funeral chicken? Like, do they deep fry that thing?
So we had to eat mostly Indian food because if there's I
Uh,
it, Indian food is
love it.
so it's so slept on. It really is,
Dude.
right?
I ate some Indian food a while back, and they put one pepper in my what they call papaya salad. Bro, I mean, I got the rumbly tumbly, but I loved every second of it.
It's so good, man.
That's also how my stomach sounded.
It is. So, for instance, like my fiance has a very strict diet, and she just like said, "F this food's too good." And she was, she doesn't eat bread. She was all over the garlic naan, the bread, the pita, all that stuff, man. The Indian food is just incredible, and London has such a huge like Indian population, so it's crazy, man. It's crazy. So, but yeah, I am back. I'm glad to be back, Blake, and I'm glad to be back on here with you. I need some tips. Well, it's so weird even just saying the word fiance, right? Like I hate spelling it out because you got to put that little clef on there.
Wait till they put your wedding ring on, and you're doing this all the time. See, that mine's getting clean, but you got to do this. You do this all the time. Like I thought I won a national title, Carter, when I got mine. I was just like, oh, this thing. Oh, you see that bad broad over there? The dime that's top of the line, slim waist, cute face with a huge behind. That's what I was doing. Like that's mine. She married me. Nana boo boo. All right. I kept you too long. I love you. I'm glad we're back. I've missed it. We haven't had this good of content since last week. Okay, and maybe ever. Since the last time you've been here, Carter. I love it.
I love you, man. Keep up the good work. Keep growing the AYS brand.
Hey,
and
new studios about to be done.
Dude, I can't wait to see it, man.
You're gonna come on down.
And I shouldn't have brought now there's like a healthcare debate. I shouldn't have brought that up, but I was just saying like what everyone
Where's
there
the
was
healthcare debate? I don't.
That's not why I was here to discuss. I was just bringing up something that was over there, but it's a wonderful country, England and France.
I agree with this. Get silicone rings.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. See, I got these Vienna sausage fingers, man. I've got to. I mean, they're thick. But you're getting your wedding ring cleaned.
Yeah, you got to do it every once in a while, man. It gets all scratchy and dirty, bacteria, COVID.
So see, Jared Addison. Jared's one of my BFFs. See, he
right. Also, that's why I wear my silicone ring too.
What's everybody pausing about? Pierce and Danny?